So we'll start off with professional life. And before we go into your time at the prep, let's talk about your life post-Richland. So you attended Northeastern with a dual concentration in marketing and entrepreneurship, along with a minor in law. Following your time in college, walk us through your work experience leading up to your recent launch of your company, Noble.
Yeah, so college at Northeastern was interesting because it was a hybrid of kind of college and that work experience with the co-ops, right? So I like to kind of bring that up because that's where I think my career really started. It was more the co-ops than kind of the first year after school. I worked for all kinds of different businesses. I worked for a small private investigator, which is very strange, but had the opportunity to work with, they were about a company of about 40, helped the CEO and COO build it as a co-op from like 15 states to all 50. And literally that's when I learned the realities of like cold calling and operations and kind of what it really means to get your hands dirty in the business world. I'd say step 2 of my career was my co-op at Reebok. Worked at the global headquarters there, which was awesome. I mean, nothing beats having a big CrossFit gym and like ball courts and stuff. Love that because it gave me more of a taste for the branding and the innovation, the marketing world. We won a huge brand. And then my third co-op was at MRM, which is like an agency actually out of Princeton. And that's where I really fell in love with more of the consulting side versus working in-house. And that's what turned into my first job. So I did like the internship there, went back to school, with a full-time offer. So I was lucky enough to go through my senior year of college with a job waiting, which was not uncommon at all in the Northeastern world. A lot of people had job offers before they finished school. And then that's what landed me in Princeton, working kind of in the marketing strategy world, worked on a lot of healthcare brands. And then that led to moving to their New York City office, which was my next steps in my career.
If you could expand a little more on Noble and what exactly it is, that would be great, and how you guys have performed so far.
Yeah, so Noble is a digital commerce platform specifically built for the on-premise world. So what does that really mean? It means we give consumers like you or me the ability to make any purchase for different items directly from their phone. And think of it as an Apple Pay meets a Grubhub, but we're specifically built for inside the walls of locations, mainly hospitality and live events. So picture going to a sports game, picture going to a concert. If you want your food and beverage or a t-shirt, we give those venues one consistent platform to allow their guests to get their hot dog, soda, and a shirt delivered right to their seats or ready for pickup. And we specialize in not just giving the platform to order and pay, but a lot of the regulatory side. Because the world that we're in has liquor in it. If you go to a sports game, there's beers and stuff. That is a very different type of architecture that needs to be built from a tech end than say ordering, pizza to your house through a Grubhub, and that's where we're different. To date, when we founded the business, it was 3 of us that got started over a couple months. We've raised about $2.5 million. We've hired out a team now of 6 of us full time. We have well over 100 venues across the United States. And with the pandemic, it's hurt us from a traction end as far as numbers and revenue. But what's interesting is it's creating a huge demand for our type of tech, right? Because we can make all these venues more efficient. They can make more money, drive more sales, and we can really help them when they reopen now, become more successful, and make up the money from 2020 and keep being a successful past.
What motivated you to create Noble? I'm pretty sure you're co-founder, something like that, so obviously it must have been like a group effort, but if you can expand upon that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, so my career, it's what I saw in the market, with different clients, and then meeting my co-founders, which was the main kind of spark to say there's actually, an opportunity to build a business here. I worked again, more in like the marketing, which then pivoted into digital transformation and innovation consulting. And my job was really to help clients define, 3 to 5 years out, what's their value prop, what's their brand, and what types of products should they offer. I worked for Macy's. Is like, okay, we have these huge, malls, and we actually own the space and the parking lots. What do we do with them in 5 to 10 years? Because are people really going to be coming to the mall that much? What do we do with the parking lots? Those are the types of questions that we got, which I loved and really helped me understand, like, what are the emerging trends of behaviors of consumers and technology and businesses. And that's really what led me, when I got connected to my co-founders who were already looking into this space. And I say, you know what, like, this is something that people have tried, and I believe they've gotten it wrong for how they've tried to scale it. There's an obvious need for it, right? A lot of people, because they're trying, it shows that there's a commercial value to be created. The biggest signal we had was when everybody tries to do it themselves, in market, usually, nobody wants the same solution that does the same thing at 20 different places. How can we flip it and focus on the consumer to have a consistent and a ubiquitous solution? And nobody approached it that way. And that's why we said, you know what, there's a bigger opportunity here to go start it. And that's when we started working on it nights and weekends for about 6 months, built something that could actually work, got a couple clients. Our clients, of course, thought that we had a nice big office and stuff, but really it was just from my apartment. Raised a little bit of money and quit our jobs and just jumped in full time.
Sounds like your typical tech startup company.
Yeah, no garage though. It was more of a high rise in New York City, very small.
Yeah.
No garage part of our story.
What has been your most exciting or unique part of your career so far? Are there any accomplishments or rewarding moments that you're especially proud of?
To be honest, it's all the people that I've met.
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to work for and learn from like a lot of really smart humans. Like my first boss that I had right out of school, Christine, was awesome. Like, she taught me everything on how to think, not just creatively, but from a business sense. I could go on for a list of all the different people that I've worked for, but that's by far the rewarding piece of it. Specifically, it's not really like a moment of like an achievement, but I'd say once I started to get invited into the room with our C-suite and the bigger kind of leaders of the companies that I used to work with, that's when I sat down and was like, this is an achievement. Just to be a sponge in those rooms and just watch these people running a multi-billion-dollar business make decisions.
Yeah.
And just, right? That to me was the biggest achievement I had early in my career. And then obviously now in the entrepreneurship side, the biggest achievement is growing the business every month. It's a very kind of smaller, bite-sized way of looking at it.
Obviously, you're quite the role model for current hermits. How has St. Augustine impacted your career path?
It definitely did. It did, because when you surround yourself by a bunch of other people that are just as ambitious, just as passionate about doing well and respecting each other, it really, it crafts you, right? And I think the time, in Richland with everybody at that age, meeting so many different types of people that were passionate about different things, watching them go to different schools and then staying in touch. I would say it didn't just help me then, it's still helping me now, because it's a way to think, right? Walking into the room with confidence, with respect to everybody else, that's I would say what's allowed me to be in a position where I can, have shareholders that trust me with their money, right?
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about that.
So our next part is your time as a student here, and this portion of the interview alumni usually love. So if you could just talk about your time in Richland.
Oh yeah. I would say, I remember, I think for me, it started when I did my campus tour before even going there. My mom will laugh at this one because I was on a tour with my parents there, and just the second you step on to the campus itself, you just get a feeling of like, this is a great place, right?
Yeah.
The culture is awesome. And I remember us walking through and some seniors were giving us a tour, and one of them just simply held the door open for my mom and asked her to walk through. Like the respect, right? The amount of like the maturity of the culture. She turned around to me and she's like, "You're coming here." I'm like, "Yeah, I definitely am." It was like, that's where it all started. I mean, for me, just I had a great group of friends. I mean, I'm from the Washington Township area.
Yeah.
So, you know, I came from a big town and I went to public school up until prep. So I had a lot of home friends, which was great. But my favorite piece of kind of going to St. Augustine was meeting all of the other guys from the shore, from all the different areas, kind of learning, like meeting their friends. It really opens up your eyes really early for how kind of big the world really is.
Yeah.
And that's still a small piece of it, right? Just the conversations that we would have were on a more of a mature level than some of my friends from home, and that's something I really enjoy. I played baseball there, which was a great experience. Loved the fact that I had the opportunity to play. Had great teammates who I'm still friends with now. And then I'm trying to remember, like, I mean, just everything. Cookies in the morning. You know, I still use this term now for work. Like, I love when I meet people that can just geek out on stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're in high school, I would say, to be surrounded by so many people that like to geek out on, you know, accounting or calc or, you know, chemistry or, you know, and then you had teachers who loved it just as much as you, right? And they would engage with you. And I think that combination, I think, of everybody there was probably my favorite part.
Meeting everybody from all these different areas was one of my personal favorite things that have happened so far. And I get what you mean when you say how kids here will, quote, nerd out on certain subjects and kind of things. So yeah, I definitely get that. I love that part of it. What are some of the most cherished memories during your time at prep? What made these memories so memorable and impactful?
Yeah, I mean, I went on 2 third semesters that one of them I still use now as like a reference point, and then the others would help me to decide where I'm going to go to college, right? Yeah. So when I went to Boston, it was like an amazing experience. Fell in love with the city. What an amazing city to go to college in. That really that opened up my eyes too. I'm saying, like, I love this city. It's not that far, but it's not too close, right? I wanted to make sure I went somewhere different. And just going there and having the opportunity to see the city with my friends and get to enjoy it, you know, really was kind of the core of why I went to Northeastern and went to school up there. And then why I ended up going back there for a couple of years after doing time in New York City.
Yeah.
The other was actually like a hospitality and entertainment third semester, which was Atlantic City to Vegas, which I'm still, when I tell people now that I had a third semester to Vegas when I was in high school, people like, they like, what from there, right? But the whole premise of it was to learn about hospitality and all the different casinos and the hotels. Just being exposed to that, getting the tour, just getting comfortable even with those types of kind of locations and the culture of it, I really enjoyed it. And then actually now a lot of my clients are casinos.
Yeah.
And live events and entertainment. That's a lot of what we do.
Yeah.
And just kind of just having that comfort with it and just being familiar and being like, yeah, I've been here. I've been to the Bellagio. I've been here. I've been behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I have to use that even in sales when I meet with different potential clients. So it's funny again how things are a great experience to teach you then, but get pulled right back into, you know, being a part of your life still.
With your time at St. Augustine as a student in mind, and now as a proud Hermit alumni, what does the Hermit Brotherhood mean to you, and how has its significance evolved in your life as an adult? Respect
is the main thing. It's I think I like unlimited respect, right? Respecting everyone, respecting, for me now, business and the process that you go through, all of it comes around to you at some point, whether good or bad. And I think that's something that the Brotherhood, really taught me how important that is, because you meet you're not gonna have everything in common with everyone, right? But you are all part of something bigger, right? Which is the Brotherhood. You have to respect each other. And, again, you'd be amazed by some of the people that I cross paths with now that are also part of the Brotherhood, and you have that connection. And that carries into, when you leave the walls there, you're now part of another bigger thing. And then when you leave your college, you're part of another bigger thing. And knowing how to navigate that and having that natural kind of respect embedded in you is something that, will definitely set you up for success and have awesome, friendships and relationships.
If you could go back and give advice to Matt Draper heading into his first day of his freshman year, what would it be?
Say hi to everyone. And not just people that are also freshmen on their first day. One of my favorite things about the Brotherhood there is that, everybody has a different, grade or level, but their seniority. But in the end, you're all part of one thing, and it's something that I think from day one you should get comfortable with, and then everybody will say hi. Everybody will want to meet you, and it is a collective there in the right way. So, just because they're wearing khakis instead of darker pants doesn't mean you can't say hi and shake their hand.
And then our final question here is, what advice would you give current students to help make the most of their time at the prep?
Ask more questions.
Yeah.
And ask more questions, not just on the topic of what you're learning that week. Ask more questions about, life. Ask more questions about how people have found their fit in what they're doing with their careers. Ask more questions to your fellow students, to your teachers, and then, outside of those hallways too. Again, you'd be shocked how much you cross paths with people later. You'd be amazed at how much you can learn by just asking more questions. I think like a rule that I always share with people that would work with me is the rule of 3 whys. Like every conversation you have with someone, always make sure you ask 3 whys. Mm-hmm. That will help you actually get the conversation going and actually get more of the information out of them.
Yeah.
And then, when you get really good, you move on to asking 5 whys. Mm-hmm. But that's where, you don't want to just keep asking it and be annoying. But that's part of, so that's like a little rule I'd say too. Just ask more questions and always try to ask 3 whys.
That's great advice. I love asking questions, so I take that. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you doing all these questions for us, and I hope we can meet in person one day.
Thank you. We really enjoyed it. Would love to come by campus and meet, everyone. And if anybody has any questions or just wants to chat, definitely give them my contact information.
Yeah, definitely. And you definitely have to come to campus. It's changed a lot, I'm sure, since you've been here. It's awesome. So,
definitely.
Thanks again, and it was nice talking to you.
Yeah, of course.